A few months ago, I had the chance to go up to the Colorado-Wyoming border to spend a night at the Ladder Ranch. It is a beautiful property. That is an understatement, situated in the Little Snake River Valley. If you were designing a postcard for the American West, you'd struggle to do better than this place. The ranch is owned by Pat and Sharon O'Toole. It's been in the family for 6 generations, dating all the way back to 1881. To give you some sense of how long that is, at the time, the state of Colorado was just 5 years old. The Ottoman Empire was still around. Our world has transformed since then, but the Ladder Ranch has endured through the Depression, the Dust Bowl, 2 world wars, and the transformation of our economy. And of course, none of that happened just by chance. It happened because the family looked ahead and made hard choices to deliver that ranch from generation to generation. Pat and Sharon are continuing that legacy today, and they're joined on the ranch by their daughters and their son and a whole bunch of grandkids. I'm sharing the story of Ladder Ranch because in many ways it's the story of farmers and ranchers across my state and across the country, of people applying their ingenuity and common sense to hand more opportunity to the next generation. And one of the privileges of representing a state like Colorado is that I've had the opportunity to learn about places like Ladder Ranch and the legacy every one of our farms and ranches represent. When I joined the Senate Ag Committee, the truth is that I had no idea how hard it can be for our farmers and ranchers. Like many people, I had very little appreciation of where our food comes from. And knowing that if you are in agriculture, you can do everything right and still fall behind because of forces beyond your control. And today, farmers and ranchers in this country are facing tremendous uncertainty. They've got persistent drought, which is growing worse due to climate change, threats of wildfire. They've got low commodity prices and challenges with finding people that can work because of our immigration debate here in Washington, to find the seasonal labor that they need, dairies that are struggling to hire the workers that they need. And now on top of all of that, they've got the confusion of the existing trade policies of the United States. 2 weeks ago, the USDA announced that farm incomes are projected to drop 12% this year. When you add it all up, all the uncertainty up, the policy up, the politics up, farm income is going to be down 12% this year. All of this, Mr. President, acts like a weight on our farmers and ranchers, making it even harder for them to pass on the legacy of their work to the next generation. Earlier this year, our agriculture commissioner in Colorado, Don Brown, who is himself one of the most successful farmers in our state, said, "You're only 22 once." And by that he meant there's an entire generation out there deciding whether or not to pursue a career on the family farm or ranch. And they're certainly looking at all this uncertainty, and a lot of them are deciding that it's not worth it. That's why the average age of farmers is what it is in the United States. We owe it to our farmers and ranchers to provide consistency where we can and to help preserve the legacy of American agriculture for years to come. By passing the 2018 Farm Bill, that's exactly what we've done. This bill means more certainty for America's producers. In this volatile environment, this bill maintains crop insurance and makes risk management tools more effective. Most important to Colorado, this bill helps our farmers and ranchers diversify their operations for the first time in 50 years because of this Farm Bill, Mr. President. This bill fully legalizes hemp. The majority leader is out here earlier. I want to congratulate him on his work to do that. In Colorado, our hemp growers have operated under a cloud of uncertainty for years. Our farmers worried about maintaining access to their water. They couldn't buy crop insurance or transport seeds. Some ran into red tape opening a bank account or even applying for federal grants. Despite these challenges, hemp cultivation in my state grew 6-fold over the last 4 years. And again, it's interesting, the majority leader has wanted this as well because The climate in Kentucky and the climate in Colorado they have almost nothing in common, but hemp grows in Kentucky and it grows in Colorado. And we see hemp as an opportunity to diversify our farms and manufacture high-margin products for the American people. Now Coloradans will be able to grow and manufacture hemp without a cloud of uncertainty hanging over them. This bill also helps farmers and ranchers hand more opportunities to the next generation. It increases funding for conservation easements and makes it easier for people to secure them. It invests in America's farm economy to drive innovation in agriculture to keep up our competitiveness in the 21st century. It doubles funding to help communities in places like my state deal with forest health and protect our watersheds better. Working with the presiding officer, we increase funding for wildlife habitat and provide more opportunities for hunting and fishing on private lands. Working with Senator Bozeman from Arkansas to give rural communities new ways to improve housing and infrastructure. The bill also provides new resources to help farmers and ranchers adapt to major challenges like climate change. For example, it creates tools for farmers and ranchers to sequester carbon, to improve soil health and become more resilient to drought, and we increase resources in this bill for renewable energy and energy efficiency for rural businesses. All in all, this 2018 Farm Bill is an excellent piece of legislation, and a lot of credit lies in the approach we took in the Agriculture Committee. That's a committee, it should be like this for all our committees. It's a committee, we don't have partisan differences. If we have differences, we have regional differences, and we work them out. And that's why that committee, which I am proud to serve on, is one of the only functioning committees in the Senate. We passed a 5-year farm bill the last time there was a farm bill, not a 6-month one, not a 6-day one, but a 5-year farm bill, and this is another one. Because Republicans and Democrats both know we got to support our farmers and ranchers, not create even more uncertainty for them. The other privilege of being on that committee, Mr. Chairman, is that I spend a lot of time in my state in counties where it's unlikely that I'm ever going to win 10 or 20% of the vote. But I keep going back and back, not because I think I'll win, but because I think as a country we've got to find a way to bring ourselves together and solve problems. Our farmers and ranchers are a model for that. They're applying their ingenuity to challenges like climate and drought every single day. They don't have the luxury, and I would say we don't have the luxury, of pretending that politics is the only thing that matters. They're focused on delivering their farm or ranch to the next generation and handing them more opportunity, not less. To them, that's all that matters. And that's the ethic we should be applying to our national politics. Mr. President, I know my time is short. I would ask that my next remarks appear in a separate place in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to take a few minutes to call on the Senate to pass the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act. The bill extends critical VA benefits to veterans exposed to toxic chemicals while serving in the waters off Vietnam. There's no reason the Senate shouldn't pass this. Our country already provides these benefits to veterans who served on land, and it's well past time we extended care to those who served at sea. This bill is the result of a lot of good bipartisan work in the Senate, and the House has already passed it. To get this across the finish line, we should look to the example our veterans set for how to come together and fight until the job is done. In Colorado, the United Veterans Committee has advocated strongly for this bill, and veterans from across our state have spoken out on behalf of their colleague veterans who deserve justice with the passage of this bill. Their example reminds us that there's no obstacle we cannot overcome to provide every veteran who has served in the United States of America with the greatest health care in the world as a reflection of their service. In this moment, we should rededicate ourselves to that goal by passing this significant bill. Let me end by thanking Senators Gillibrand and the presiding officer for their leadership, along with Chairman Isaacson and Ranking Member Tester for getting it to this point. We need to pass this bill in the Senate before we go home. It's the right thing to do. Mr. President, I yield the floor.